After a draw against Charlotte this weekend, it sets the stage for this to be the week that Inter Miami clinches the Supporters Shield. Oh, and Kieran thought he was going to die. All this week on the Inter Miami Weekly Show. Happy to have you with us here at Chase Stadium with the Arsenal great Kieran Gibbs. I'm Joe Malfa, a very alive Kieran Gibbs, and we will get to all of that later, I promise. It'll make sense in a little bit, but we first have to talk about that 1-1 draw against Charlotte for Inter Miami. Going into that one, there was an outside chance, depending on some other results with Cincinnati and Columbus, that the Supporters Shield could have been wrapped up on Saturday. Columbus did tie against DC United. Cincinnati did lose against LAFC, but the 1 point for Inter Miami still puts us in a position where this could be the week to take home that Supporters Shield.
Yeah, it was a frustrating evening, Joe. I think Miami didn't perform badly, but I think that, you know, if you look at the other teams that they're playing at the moment, there's a lot more on the line for them. And Miami, I don't think that they're getting complacent, but I do think that, you know, when you have these teams, you get to the business end of the season, sometimes, you know, teams just want it that little bit more, and it just didn't click for Miami, especially in the final third. But credit to Charlotte, they defended really well. They're a stubborn team. It's one of their strengths, and you know, Miami just found it difficult to break them down. But I don't think there's any cause for concern. I think Tata will remain calm at the moment, and I'm sure that, you know, their front three or front four, they're just moments away from being the most dangerous team in the league at any moment. So I'm not concerned that, you know, that they've had 3 draws in 3. I think if you zoom out and just get a bit of perspective, you know, you quickly realise that we're still in pole position to clinch the Supporters Shield, and this being a very strong season. Yeah,
no doubt. And as we show you the highlights here, I mean, to your point about that front line breaking out, this front line could have broken out at any time in this game. It was chance after chance. After going down 1-0 against the Charlotte side, you get the equalizer, and then it was chance after chance after chance after that. Well past the 100th minute, because we had a boatload of stoppage time, but there were plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the opening 60 minutes, I felt that, you know, there wasn't too much happening, and then obviously in the last 30 minutes, it was just, the game just really came alive. But there's some really still nice stuff played from Miami. It's just that cutting edge in the final third that was missing.
And this Charlotte team, again, playing for a playoff spot in their own right. You get a little bit of bad luck here with the runner cutting in front, the deflection, a team that's now in 7th place and trying to make the playoffs in their own right. But the response after conceding was really positive. Yeah,
it was. They really started to press. The fans started to get behind them, and they really raised their game after the hour mark.
After that goal scored by Charlotte, I mean, the rest of the highlights we show you here are all Inter Miami chances. It just shows you how much of an avalanche there was to Inter Miami's side after conceding.
Yeah, another lovely finish from Leo Messi, and it was good to see Matthias Rojas back as well. I think he's been missing a lot, and it's great to have him back at this business end of the season. But love the way Messi takes this here and just guides the ball around the defenders to put it in the far corner.
He's starting to look healthier and healthier now after he had that long layoff, and that's exactly what you need at this time of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And again here with Rojas, I just think he adds that creativity in the final third that, you know, may have been lacking over the last couple of weeks for Miami, but certainly with him back, I definitely think that will be more dangerous.
And here with 101 on the clock, one final opportunity, not meant to be on the night for Inter Miami with the draw against Charlotte, but another really positive showing, another situation where it's a draw, but look, draws can feel like wins sometimes, and draws can feel like losses sometimes, and it almost feels like these draws have felt like losses because we expect so much of Inter Miami, but the performances in the draws have been the performances of a winner, where they, in all 3 of those draws, were the better team, were the dominant team. If one of the 2 sides was more likely to win, it was always going to be Inter Miami for all 3 of these draws.
Yeah, and also you have to look at it and say that, you know, if you don't win, then you certainly don't lose. And
exactly.
That's what they're doing at the moment, which is a great sign of champions. You know, you don't want, if they hadn't have picked up any points in the last couple of weeks, then there might have been a little bit of concern, but they're doing all of the right things in the games. Their patterns of play are good, their defensive structure is good, they look organised. It literally is just that cutting edge in the final third, and they're back to the Miami that we've seen most of the season.
I like what you said, they're just not losing. That's such a big part. I mean, as much as we want this team to run through the playoffs and just blow teams out. It's not how it works when you get to knockout football. You're going to get a team that's going to bunker in. You're going to have to find a way to win a game 1-0. You're going to have to maybe be 1-1, play in extra time, go to a shootout. That's all stuff that comes with the territory when you get to this time of the year. So the fact, like you said, that they're not losing is a very encouraging sign.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Miami of the past, these games normally end up, extremely chaotic at the end.
Right.
We throw players forward without being too organised at the back, and we end up, cutting our legs, and it's, that's a dangerous place to be. But I think that side of the game is what Tata has brought in. He's brought that calmness in and that intelligence to say, okay, if you're not going to win, then at least make sure that you have a solid foundation so that you minimise your chances of getting beaten, and that's what I'm really impressed with Miami at the moment.
Yeah. And that closes the book on Charlotte, that 1-1 draw. You notice the sun has come out behind us. It's been pouring for about 2 hours here, so that's a nice positive for the day at least. And there was a nice positive at the beginning of the week as well for Inter Miami, in conjunction with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, having 23 kids just come and get to meet the team. You could just see the smiles and just feel the warmth as everybody was able to come in, greet all the players, spend time on the field. The Saturday prior, they were out with Royal Caribbean on the cruise ship. Just watch the faces light up when they get to Messi. That was my biggest takeaway from this. No disrespect to Luis Suarez or Jordi Alba, but some of the kids just kind of pass them by on the line and just make a beeline for the big hug with Messi. It was a spectacle to see, just the love and joy in their eyes.
Incredible afternoon. I love these initiatives. It's a great way to give back and connect with the community.
Wasn't the only fun that was had this weekend around the club. Remember when we started the show, I assured you all that Kieran Gibbs was still very much alive. Well, I don't know if Kieran thought that was going to be the case when on Friday he got to go around the track down in Homestead. If you all remember last year, we went down to the track and it wasn't a good day. It rained, and Kieran and Thomas Rongen got to go around the track in the pace car. The weather was good this time, but I don't know if that was good for your psyche, Kieran.
No, it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't, Joe. I got a newfound respect for life. It was one of those moments for me, but incredible experience. I just don't have a need for speed. I never have, and so that's why I get uncomfortable with those things, especially when you put your life in someone else's hands. Albeit very experienced people, but I had a great time.
All right, enough talking about it. Let's show you exactly what Kieran went through in his time at Miami Homestead Speedway and catching up with Dylan Mamba Smith.
Guys, welcome to NASCAR. We're joined by the wonderful Mamba.
Hey man, what's up, baby?
Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the jacket.
Everyone's gonna be jealous back in the studio that you're the one on camera.
Thanks for joining us, man. You've had an incredible journey.
Yeah.
From karting to NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to know what inspired your journey into motorsports, and how did growing up in Vermont shape that?
Man, you did your homework. Oh, yeah, no. So my dad got me a go-kart when I was like 4 or 5. We started racing and we just were winning. Like, if it wasn't for that part, I think if I didn't win early, I wouldn't have liked it as much. I only do stuff that I'm like pretty good at, so I don't golf that often. So we won, and then we started traveling with it, and it's been great. It's been absolutely great.
Amazing. And now you are NASCAR's chief hype officer.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to be mad at the guy that's fun. You know what I mean? It's hard to be mad at the guy that's trying to have a good time and promote your sport. So we did that, and at the racetrack, I'm the chief hype officer, and then on TV, I'm Mamba Smith analyst breaking down races. So it's been great. Yeah.
Mamba GDTBA.
GDTBA.
Tell us about that.
It's a great day to be alive, man. Every day is a great day to be alive. Shout out to my boy Nick Drake. So this was a while ago. He just started tweeting. hashtag GDTBA at the end of everything. And I was like, I texted him, I'm like, bro, what does that mean? He's like, man, I'm tired of everybody and their negativity, and like, it's a great day to be alive, and it's just, and I'm like, I can get behind that.
And you're a big football fan?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say a big football fan, but I do like football. I played when I was in high school. We didn't have American football in Vermont, so I played soccer, and I like to be a striker.
Okay.
But they put me in goal senior year. I was so mad. I was so mad that they put me in goal, because like me and my boys we had played for 4 years together on the front line, like scoring goals, and like, hey,
you gotta go up.
Yeah, because we don't have anyone that's athletic enough, so you gotta play goalie. I'm like, how does that make any sense?
To get you a trial down at Inter. Bro, thank you for your time,
appreciate it.
Yeah, ready to get on the track?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice. Okay, brother. Seatbelt.
Brother, yeah.
Double seatbelt.
Yeah. 5-point harness. Don't worry. You know what? Don't worry about it. I got you.
Perfect. Let's go. Coming from Mamba. He doesn't know it. He thinks it's going to be an easy day. But there's no easy days in the office. Isn't that right? There's no easy days in the office. Wildest thing I've ever done, and scared me. We overtook Mamba. Told you, it's like the one. Still alive as well, so I'm happy.
There's unfair advantage. He had the bigger engine. Unfair advantage.
All right, well, you're here. You made it. I don't know if you want to do that again next year. You're going to tag me in to do that next year, I think, in your place. But you can at least check that off the bucket list, that you went around a NASCAR track in a proper car. My favorite part of that whole thing is, you're sitting there clinging on for dear life. Driver's sitting there.
Just chilling. Yeah.
Just one hand on his chin, one hand on the wheel. Like, it's absolutely nothing in the world. Yeah. That's incredible. It looks like you and I driving down 95 just casually. Meanwhile, you're going what? What did you top out at?
160 miles an hour around the bend. I'm like, I don't understand how that's even possible.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's all coming fast and furious now down to the finish for Inter Miami. This is possibly, could be the week, finally, that the Supporter Shield is clinched as time is running out now. There were mathematical chances. If this happened, that happened. Could have wrapped it up last week, but it was always most likely going to be this week. A double match week starts on the road against Columbus, then on the road against Toronto. There is a scenario to get to for the Saturday match at Toronto, but it's as simple as this for Wednesday night. Beat Columbus, win Supporter Shield, playoffs go through Chase Stadium. It's simple. It's in front of them, and now they got to achieve it.
Yes, sounds easy when you say it like that, but obviously Columbus is a tough fixture. I think probably the toughest fixture that they have in this conference. I like Columbus as a team. They're very organised. They like to control games, and that's what we're going to see in this game. I'm sure is the battle for possession, the battle for control. And then it's about who has that final product. I couldn't call it, to be honest, because I think that Columbus are the strongest up there with Miami this season, just in terms of their style of play, and I think that they can cause Miami problems. But I do think that with 3 draws in a row, Miami are due one of those performances where they just come alive and everything clicks again, because more often than not this season we have seen that from them. So if it is one of those days for Miami, then Columbus can forget it really, because they are unstoppable when they're in that form.
Right, and this is going back to June 19th when we beat them 2-1 at our place. Now we go to their place, where we have already played this year. Remember, when we were eliminated from Leagues Cup, we had that 2-1 lead late on against Columbus. And then going back to something you said earlier, Inter Miami over the last few weeks have learned to close out games. It's not as chaotic as it used to be. That was actually the turning point when we went to Columbus and lost in Leagues Cup. Everything from that point on, that was kind of that learning lesson for the group where everything just kind of settles down now late in games instead of getting chaotic. So in a way, that defeat in Leagues Cup against Columbus sort of turned into a net positive in closing out games for Inter Miami, and now we'll see it put to task in this one on the road against Columbus. Can you do the same thing you did the last 2 times you played them, which is take a lead, and can you this time close it out on the road in their place? Look, as great as we have been this season, as much as we've talked about how special this team is, and the record is still, by the way, achievable. Win the last 3 games, set the all-time points record and wins record in MLS. This Columbus team, in the eyes of many, is still the best team in the league. If you look at the MLS power rankings on the league website, Columbus is still number 1. Actually, we're falling down to number 3 now. For some reason, I don't know why, they put the LA Galaxy at number 2. That one kind of is strange to me. I could see Columbus. They've been terrific. But this is a chance to prove we are number 1, not only in the standings, but in the power rankings going forward.
And that's why I expect them to respond again. Every time that they've had any kind of mishap this season, it's never lasted for too long. Right. They've had 3 draws now. They haven't performed bad, but they definitely have that final edge to get, and I think that they'll turn it on. I think that they will. I think that it is going to be a tough game for them away from home. Columbus, not easy, but I think that they have what it takes.
This is one of those games, it feels like, that Messi takes it to an even different level. How many times have we seen it going back to his time in Barcelona, back with his time, back in the 2022 World Cup? Whenever he felt a little angry, remember that game against the Netherlands where he was going over at Louis van Gaal? Whenever there's that little edge and anger to him, which we saw at the end of the Charlotte match, you saw how heated he was late in that one. Whenever he has that edge, he takes it to somehow a different level that you don't know is possible. This one feels like that kind of game where he just puts everybody on his back on the road against the other top team to put a piece of hardware in the cabinet. Yeah,
he's a player that sets his own expectations so high, so it's normal that he gets frustrated when things doesn't go his way 100%. So that's why he's a born winner. That's why he's done what he's done in the game, and I think that the other players will feed off of that as well. So especially with the likes of Rojas coming back. I'm sure he's going to add to the creativity up top, and defensively they look good at the moment. There hasn't been too many times where they've looked in trouble, so I'm expecting a real good battle this week.
Remember, it is a 2-match week. We go then on the road against Toronto on the weekend. So if we do not win and clinch that Supporters Shield against Columbus on Wednesday, it is still all there for the taking on Saturday against Toronto. If we tie Columbus, all it takes is a win or a point and Columbus dropping points on Saturday against Toronto to win the Shield. If we lose to Columbus, then we would have to beat Toronto, and Columbus would have to drop points. So regardless of what happens Wednesday, that possibility is still there on Saturday against Toronto. But simplest at least in terms of doing less math for us, win against Columbus on Wednesday and it's done. But it's easier said than done against that team. But looking ahead to that Toronto match as well, another team, Kieran, like Charlotte, They're in 8th place. They're battling for a playoff spot. They're desperate now, and that desperation changes teams. So it's not necessarily going to be the cakewalk that we would have maybe expected against Toronto come on Saturday, because they are so desperate in their own right.
Yeah, and there's just such a difference between, you can have a pretty average season and still make the playoffs and give yourself a chance of winning the whole thing, So that's why there's so much more on the line at this stage of the season for them, because even after having a bad season or not a great season, you can still achieve something. So it's kind of like a one-off game for them, a one-off shot. So these games are tricky at this end of the season, and so it's definitely not going to be easy for Miami. It's a tricky week, both away games. We know that the travel is tough. Yep. So it's definitely a time for the squad to come together, like they have done all season, and put in 2 good performances.
With no offense to our centerpiece that's been here most of the season, this little plant, which is fake, by the way. I don't know if anybody at home has tried to figure that out. This is very much plastic. We hope that it's a nice piece of silverware here, the supporter shield, next week, be it on Wednesday with a win against Columbus, be it with some other combinations on the road on Saturday against Toronto. It could be done this week, and we hope to have that sitting right here next week on the Inter Miami Weekly Show. Make sure you're with us, liking and subscribing on YouTube, so you're with us every step of the way, the rest of the way.